friends. I'm your host, Erin Port, and welcome to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. Life can be overwhelming and busy, so once a week, I invite you to join me, and together we will make simple tweaks to uncomplicate the hard parts of our life so we can spend more time doing what we love. Welcome back, friends, to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. I'm so excited to welcome Brittany from Home and Kind today. If you've seen one of those viral lunch hacks floating around Instagram, there's a good chance it was hers. Brittany has a gift of finding simple, doable systems that make everyday mom life a little bit easier, which you know I love. Today, we're diving into all things lunch boxes, rhythms, and what she's learned over the years to keep this back to school season from feeling totally overwhelming. Welcome to the show, Brittany.
Thank you. So good to be here, Erin.
So for anyone new to Home and Kind, can you share a little bit about yourself, your family, and how this all began?
Sure. So I am a mom of 4 kids. My oldest is 17, and then I've got a 14-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And we live in North Carolina, which we love. We've been here for almost 6 years, and we were in Dallas, Texas for about nine years before that. And I started this business, about 8 years ago. I always think of this business as my fifth child because it was about when my youngest was 2 years old. I started this business and have been doing it ever since. And it's changed a lot over the course of 8 years. I started it as a product-based business. I just wanted to have a little online shop where I sold stuff that was kind of geared more towards celebrations and holidays. We had like birthday shirts and holiday pillowcases and just stuff like that, celebration stuff, holiday stuff. And I started an Instagram account to share those products, and slowly over time started kind of sprinkling in, here's what I'm making my family for dinner tonight, or here's something I'm doing, a system that's worked to organize the papers that they bring home from school. And so as I started sprinkling in some of those content ideas, I realized that that's what was resonating with people even more so than the products. So we kind of shifted into just more content and more practical ideas. And now I'm really zoned into like the practical homemaking ideas, just things that can make mom life a little bit easier, the little hacks that make a big difference, and just little tips and tricks and easy meals and feeding your family and organizing and things that are very practical and that anyone can hopefully put into practice and just make mom life a little bit easier for them.
And we all need that. I love that. Okay, so it's back to school season. It's hard to believe, but I shared before that you are the queen of lunchbox hacks. Like, I think that was one of the first viral hacks that I saw of yours. So what are a few of your favorite lunchbox hacks that make this time of year feel less chaotic for a mom?
So packing lunches, maybe some moms like it. I see some of these moms that are like doing the cutesy little cutouts of all of the things. Like I really love when people just lean into the things they love. So for the moms that love that, I love that they love it. But for me, I do not enjoy that at all. And I think partly because I'm not really much of a morning person. So I don't want to spend a lot of time doing anything in the morning. I don't want to wake up extra early to pack an elaborate lunch for my kids. And so several years ago, gosh, probably 10 years ago or so now, I realized that you can freeze so many things for school lunches. And it's pulling them out of the freezer and putting them into your kids' lunchbox without an ice pack. It gives it like 2 to 4 hours, depending on when their lunch is. It kind of gives it like the perfect amount of time for those items to thaw and be ready for them to eat by lunch. And so I kind of started testing it out with, the first thing I did, and still the thing I probably do most often, is just prepare a ton of little Hawaiian roll sandwiches for my kids. And some of my kids love to do like a pepper jack cheese and a turkey, and you can put even a thin layer of mayo and mustard on there. You don't want to do any produce on the sandwiches. But we freeze them just with a thin layer of condiments, the turkey, the cheese, and then, put them into bags with however many they're going to take. So, little kids may just need one. Sometimes my high schoolers want 4, and then pop them into the freezer, and you are prepped for several weeks, depending on how many you make at a time. And then all you have to do is pull those out of the freezer in the morning, add a few sides, and their lunch is ready to go. And then I started kind of playing around with other things that you could freeze, other kind of main dish items you can freeze. And there's actually a lot that you can freeze. Muffins freeze and thaw really well. My kids always love like the yogurt pouches that are great to freeze and just pop into the lunch frozen. I've even done like homemade pizza Lunchables that freeze well with like the little round naan bread. And then they love to just like put some sauce on it and some little mini pepperoni and cheese. So there's actually a lot that you can do to prep in advance and freeze. And that just made my life so much easier because I didn't have to pull out all of the sandwich stuff every morning, make a sandwich or multiple sandwiches every single day. It's like you get it all out, you do it at one time, and then you're set for a couple weeks. So that really was a huge game changer for me in just prepping school lunches.
I love that. So good. And I just saw that you shared earlier, like late last spring, about the snack boxes that you found and like making those your own little snack boxes, which is perfect because I also have teenagers and they are never not hungry. They're always hungry.
Never.
And,
Always hungry.
and so you can pack, like you found those, and we can link them in the show notes, but like these little
Yeah.
snack packs, and you just put them with different things.
Yeah, and you can buy you people have probably seen the snack packs that you can buy pre-made, at the grocery store that has like some pieces like cut up cheese and maybe you've got like some meat sticks in there, even like some crackers or nuts or something. But those are really expensive. Those are like a couple dollars each for like one little snack pack. So on Amazon, you can just get a pack of 20 of those like plastic containers. They're dishwasher safe, they're reusable, so you can use them and pack them with whatever you want. And my kids have loved that because there's so many different things you can pack them with. And it's also great because, for school lunches, they're great to pop a few of those in or just hey, we're heading out to like a sporting event. I'm hungry. I'm going to go grab one of those. And typically it's going to be, we pack a lot of like fruit and veggies into those. And so it tends to be also like a more filling, healthier option than just like, oh, I'm going to grab a bag of chips because we're on the go and I'm hungry. So that's one recent thing we've started doing that, yeah, I just love.
So cool. So cool. And I don't know about your kids, but they'll like two of the three items in the prepackaged snack, whereas this you can tailor,
Yes.
and get them on board and helping, because that's the next question. How do you get your kids to kind of get on board with lunch making so you can kind of delegate that task and it doesn't all fall on your shoulders?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And speaking to your point of allowing them to be the ones to choose how they want to customize things. So I feel like it's really helpful to have my kids pick out what items we're going to prep and put in the freezer or what items we're going to pack those little snack boxes with, because then they also have more buy-in to like, oh, I want to eat that thing because I'm the one that got to choose it. So allowing them to kind of pick and put together, okay, these are the Hawaiian roll sandwiches that we're going to make this week. This is the kind of cheese I want and the kind of meat I want. And they're very capable of, doing it themselves. My kids have been actually making their own lunches for years, and it helps them a lot when they know that there's stuff stocked in the freezer. They also love bagels and cream cheese are actually a great thing to freeze as well, and so they love to be able to pick, oh, this week let's do blueberry bagels with strawberry cream cheese or pick some of the combinations. And so either getting into the kitchen with them and doing it together. Some of my kids prefer that, and some of them prefer to just do it themselves, like totally on their own. And again, it's easy when you're kind of bulk prepping a bunch of stuff at one time because you're just getting all the ingredients out once. They can help do it. And then it also sets them up for success in the morning when they're packing their lunch because they know exactly what they've stocked the freezer with. And it's very easy and quick to be able to just throw the things that they want to put together into a lunchbox.
And we all know mornings can be chaotic. So any way that you can simplify that morning time by prepping ahead is golden. I love that. And I love that you've given permission. I think sometimes as moms, we need just permission to say, like, it's okay if your kid packs their own lunch. And you've set them up for success, as you said, but just knowing, like, it's okay.
Hmm.
This is a life skill. It's good for them to know how to do that on their own. You don't have to do it for them. So I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you've learned as a seasoned mom? You have a 17-year-old during the season that you just that it really resonates with you, like, okay, I just need to remember this in the back to school season. And then is there anything you fiercely protect because it keeps your family and your sanity grounded?
Yeah, those are great questions. I feel like with every child, you're constantly learning something new because they all come very different. So it's like I'm always learning lessons, and you think you have it all figured out, and then another kid comes along who's very different than the first kid, and you have to learn all new things again. But I think I think I've learned as my kids have aged to really encourage their independence. And like we were just talking about, I think you often realize as a mom, especially as a busy mom, sometimes it's almost always, not sometimes, almost always, it's easier to do something yourself in the
Mhm.
beginning because it takes time to teach kids new skills. It takes time to teach them how to pack a lunch that's going to keep them full throughout the day. Like it takes a little bit of time to educate them and to kind of train them on how to do things. But what I've learned is that definitely pays off in the end because now my oldest, for instance, well, all my kids really, but especially my oldest, loves to cook. And she's spent enough time in the kitchen with me cooking and preparing things, and she knows how to hold a knife and how to chop fruits and vegetables that she loves to come home from school and just like whip up a pasta with a sauce that she's, using caramelized onions for. And she loves like being creative in the kitchen. And so I think learning the lesson of yes, it's going to be a little bit of more work for you in the beginning to teach them some of these life skills. It's not only going to serve them better in life, and by the time they get to the point where they're going to graduate and leave your home, they're going to have a whole skill set of things that they've learned from you that they'll be able to take into life, but also putting a little bit of that time and effort into teaching them when they're younger is also going to serve you later in life because they'll get better and better at those things over time and really take on more of your responsibilities and actually be helpful down the road once they kind of perfect those skills a little more.
I always say we're not just raising kids, we're raising future adults. And the more that we can teach them as kids, the more successfully they're going to be as adults when they leave our house. And I have a 16-year-old, you have a 17-year-old. Like those days are numbered. I'm seeing kind of
Mhm.
I read the other day that it's like reading the final chapter of your favorite book. Like you want to see how it ends, but also you want to savor it. I feel like those are the years we're in right now. But I agree with you so much that like it is a little bit of prep, right? Like and but a gift we get to give our kids is like to teach them how, but then that will take them
Yeah,
far into the future.
definitely.
Yeah. All
Yeah, and
right.
then the second part of that question, just about something that I kind of fiercely protect. I would say this isn't always possible, but I try to protect like my own sanity.
Mhm.
I think it's important for kids to see their parents um, having hobbies and
Mm.
doing things for themselves and going on date nights and taking trips as a couple. And of course, like we love doing those things as a family as well. But I think also, especially for my daughters, but equally important for my sons, I want my daughters to feel like they can do that when they get to that stage of life. And I think you give them permission to not just be martyrs for their family when you have demonstrated that behavior. And so I feel like I've always tried to prioritize um, keeping up certain hobbies, or I have a whole business, so now my husband and I run this business, and he kind of works for me and so our roles have reversed a little bit, and he's at home more with the kids. um, but I think that allowing them to see both of us pursue our own interests and have hobbies and things outside of just our identity as parents is also going to serve them later in life and allow them to do the same when they become adults.
Such a good reminder. And I love that you said martyr of their family. I think too, would you say that when you take time to pour in or to take care of yourself and to do some of those hobbies that you show up better for your family?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so I have
Yes,
to
because if
know.
you are constantly running on empty, then you have nothing left to give. So you have to be recharging your battery and doing those things that fill your cup so that you can then show up for your kids and your family how you want to.
Okay, so I have to know what's your hobby of choice these days?
Well, I love home projects. So I'm constantly like working on something around the house. I'm, building furniture, painting a room. I just love that whole process. Sometimes I hate it when I'm in the midst of it, but I love a good like before and after. I love like taking something and just like totally changing it with one, can of paint. Also, I've picked up a hobby of like doing sourdough.
Mhm.
Everyone I feel like started doing that during COVID. I was way too stressed during COVID to pick that up. But just in the past couple years, I've kind of started learning more about it, making sourdough bread, and I really Love that. And then walking. I love walking. I try to get in a walk every day. So those are kind of a few of the hobbies that I am currently investing in.
Are you sure your name's not Aaron? I feel like we're very kindred spirits. I love
I know.
walking. I will also say that this is like kind of embarrassing to admit, but I also love bird watching. Like
Okay, maybe I need to get into the bird watching. I haven't done that yet.
okay, so now you're gonna be like, wow, Erin. But I'm telling you, like now that I don't know, I have a bird feeder. I like watching the birds. It's just very
Yeah.
relaxing and soothing. And I'm
Yes.
a go-getter. I'm always on the go, and so it kind of just slows me down and helps me just to be present in the moment. So there you go, bird watching, sourdough
I
walking.
love
Yes, I
that.
love that too. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up these questions before we get to rapid fire, right, what would you say as a seasoned mom? Like I love talking to moms who've got kids that are a little bit older. What would you say to the mom listening right now who already feels behind, already feels overwhelmed before the first bell of the year has even rung?
It's funny because I talk to other mom friends in this stage of life, some a stage ahead of me, some a stage behind me, and the conclusion we have come to is that you just have to embrace the chaos. Like you will always feel busy. You will always feel like there's something else that can be done, like there's another thing coming up. Like I just don't think you ever get to a stage in motherhood that you're like, okay, I finally made it through that hard stage. You make it through hard things that, like, for instance, toddlers are so physically demanding and you have to watch them nonstop. And so now I'm in a phase of life where I think I maybe felt like it would be a lot easier because it's like, oh, all my kids are in school. I should feel like I've arrived and like I have all this time during the day. No, I don't feel like that because it's so busy as soon as they get home from school, we're like sports and other activities, and some have jobs, and like it's so many things, and it's also just like emotionally demanding. So I think the thing that I've learned is don't expect it to necessarily get easier or to have stages where you're going to not feel busy. You just have to figure out how to find the joy in it and how to build in things to your schedule that are going to allow you to enjoy the ride, because your life will take over every minute of your day if you don't really intentionally plug in things that you want to do. And that includes both things that you want to do personally for yourself, but also things you want to do with your family. Like schedule out in advance and just put in things like, okay, we really want to take this weekend trip, or we're going to have, a beach day on this day. And so you plug that into the calendar, you prioritize it, and you make sure it happens because that's the thing that brings you joy and something that you can look forward to. So I would say just, kind of embrace the chaos, embrace the busyness, and just be intentional about also adding in the things that are really bringing you joy.
I love that. I was talking to a friend the other day, and our son is a sophomore, so he has we have sophomore spring break, junior spring break, senior spring break, and then he's off to his next
Oh,
adventure, and he may or may not be available, right? And so my husband and I sat down before he became a freshman and said, okay, basically we have 4 spring breaks left. Where do we want to take the family as the 6 of us? And we plug those in. And it
mhm,
seems crazy to plan out 4 years. And, who knows what the future holds, but it's an idea
mhm.
of like planning for what matters, because life moves fast. And I'd rather, have a plan and then have to change it than not have a plan at all, as you said. Such good advice.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so smart.
Okay, so let's get to rapid fire. Do you have a favorite back to school tradition you do with your kids?
Yes. So the night before school starts, we always have a back to school dinner, but it's school lunch themed. So I've got like some little like plastic trays like you would get in elementary school. We do like chicken nuggets and fries and applesauce and like the little milk cartons. And I love it because it's so easy. Like it's very minimal prep on my end. And then I just use like office supplies and school supplies to decorate the table. So simple. But the kids always look forward to it.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I love that. We do apple nachos. So on the first day of school,
Oh,
apple.
fun.
So super simple, but I feel like very kind of
Yeah.
like school themed with the apple, but I love that. And do you find your kids still love it even though it's insanely simple? Like they probably are looking
Oh,
for
yeah.
look forward to it, right?
For sure. Like that or an elaborate dinner. I think you as the mom, like do what you want to do. Like my sister-in-law loves doing like a nice fancy dinner for their back to school night because she loves it. She
Mm,
loves like cooking a nice elaborate meal. And I'm like, give me the simplest thing possible. And that's what I'm going to do. And to kids, it just matters to them that you're doing something different and kind of making it special.
that's such good advice. Okay, favorite easy dinner as you transition back to school.
So, one of my kids' most requested very simple dinners is cheeseburger sliders, and those are in my Costco One Stop Meals cookbook. But you can get the ingredients from anywhere. So, essentially, it's just a sheet of like Hawaiian roll sandwiches. You cut it in half, you brown some ground beef and onion in a skillet, and then you just layer that on top of the Hawaiian roll sandwiches. You put cheese on it, you bake it in the oven, and then you slice it up into little sliders, and they love it so much. They request it all the time. So that's always like a go-to, especially when life gets crazy.
It sounds like pretty fast to put together too.
Yeah, very fast.
Okay, favorite back to school go-to breakfast.
Okay, this is a good question. And also, I will admit I'm not great at breakfast. I'm not a morning person, so
Yes.
it's like my kids are usually like it's every man for himself. So, one thing I do like to do is I try to stock the freezer with little pancake mini muffins. So I'll just mix up like a pancake mix. I usually add in like a couple browned bananas and then sprinkle it with whatever toppings they like, usually like mini chocolate chips. And we just keep a bunch of those in either the fridge or the freezer. And then you just pop them into the microwave and reheat them. And they're like handheld little pancake bites that they like to dip into syrup. So that's one of our quick and easy ones, again, that you can kind of prep in bulk and store until they're ready to eat that. And then my kids do like breakfast sandwiches a lot, or they'll just do really simple like yogurt and granola. But I just, again, am not like, I'm not going to wake up an hour earlier than I need to. I'm not a morning person. So mornings have to be super simple. And my kids are pretty good at kind of getting their own breakfast, and I'll sometimes help them a little bit along the way.
I think every mom listening is taking an exhale that just like, okay, other people keep it simple in their house because there's this expectation. I think because we
Yeah.
see so much online of everything that everyone's doing, that they almost feel like this pressure that if it's not elaborate or fancy, that they're somehow less than. But I always say simplicity is strategy. It's not a step down, right? And I love that. It's your strategy.
Yeah.
It makes it work for your family. And my kids love a good frozen pancake as well. So I'm right there.
Yeah.
Solidarity,
And
sis.
we are not above a bowl of cereal. I mean, that happens frequently as well. So,
I love it. I love it. And that works for dinner too, right? Like if I told my kids
yep.
we're having breakfast for dinner cereal, they'd be like, woohoo.
Oh, yeah. They'd be cheering.
We put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes. Okay. And then last but not least, because I'm all about tiny tweaks, little things that make your life 100 times easier, just like you. What's your favorite tiny hack right now that makes life 100 times easier at your house?
So I would say, again, not a morning person. I've mentioned that many times. And so I feel like even just not loving to wake up early, but also I feel like it takes my brain a little bit to get going in the morning. Like I'm just going a little bit slower. And that's just personality. You know, I have a sister it's who will pop out of bed at 5 in the morning, and she's like so energized. I have more energy at night. And so I actually love to use that little bit of energy to prep as much the night before as I can. Even like I'm going to pick out my workout clothes the night before. I'm going to decide what outfit I'm going to wear and lay that out. I'm going to get the kids' backpacks all lined up so that all they have to do is like pop their lunch in when they're done. So taking even just 5 or 10 minutes the night before to prep as much as I can for the next morning helps me so much, because then I know we're setting ourselves up for success, but also I know that my mornings are going to feel less chaotic, and I'm kind of working with like how my brain works anyway, because I tend to just think more clearly at night than I do in the morning. So that's helped me a lot.
I think that's an important distinction for people too, like to say, okay, how do you operate? How are you wired? And
Yeah.
then go with your strengths. Don't try to like go against the grain, but go,
Yeah.
make the snowball go downhill as opposed to pushing it uphill, right? Because what one works for somebody might not work for you, like you said, based on your personality.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's key with so many different factors of motherhood and parenting, is just figuring out, even like connecting with your kids, like what makes me happy to connect with my kids? Like, do I like getting down on the ground and playing Barbies with my kids? Not really, but like, let's go out and ride bikes together,
Mhm.
or let's go swim at the pool together, you know? And I think we just put a lot of pressure on ourselves, like you mentioned previously, that like we see other people doing things and we tend to compare the other things that people are doing well with maybe things we're not doing, and we hold ourselves to a really high standard. And while it can be really great to see so many different ways of doing things and get ideas, sometimes we get wrapped up in the idea that we should be doing all of these things, and no one's doing all of these things. So taking inspiration where it's given, but then ultimately figuring out what works for you and just leaning into that instead of spreading yourself so thin and trying to do everything. If you can just do a few things really well, you're going to feel better about it. You're going to be less spread thin and less stretched and less stressed out. And your kids are going to feel like you're more intentional as well. And, you know, so much of the pressure we put on ourselves, it's not even coming from our kids or other people around us. It's just this kind of internal feeling that we need to be doing it all. And no one's doing it all.
Yes, I love that. We're going to end on that note. Okay, so you have books, you've got an Instagram. Tell us, you have Costco one-stop meals, Trader Joe one-stop meals. You even have a lunch one. So tell us where we can find those books. I'll be sure to put it in the show notes, and then also where they can catch up with you online.
Yeah, so we have, yeah, those three cookbooks. And then we're also coming out with a hosting cookbook in September, which is going to be really practical ideas and recipes for when you want to host other people or when your kids want to invite people over. So I'm really excited about that one coming out. Yeah, probably end of September. But all of our books you can grab right now at shop.homeandkind.com. They're also available now on Amazon. And then we are, I'm posting pretty much every day on Instagram. My handle there is Home and Kind, and it's just a lot of fun little practical ideas that you can incorporate at home with your kids, and recipes and other things, so you can follow along there as well.
I love how relatable and practical and encouraging you are. Thank you, Brittany, so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
If you liked this episode, it would mean so much if you'd share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review so others can find our show. Until next time, you can find me at Simple Purposeful Living on Instagram and Facebook.